CNN pundit Kelly Goff blames Alex Jones for turning alleged murderer Christopher Dorner into a hero.
The other thing that's really fascinating about this, Howard, too, is that he has some supporters from really unlikely places. It's not just, sort of this African-American Django narrative, but, people like Alex Jones who don't strike us as someone who would sort of take an African-American man who is said to have killed police officers.
Conservative radio talk show host. Let me jump in.
Just turn him into one.
Mark Lamont.
Here's what Alex Jones actually said about Christopher Dorner shortly after the news broke of the manhunt for him.
He is an unmitigated, absolutely unmitigated, disgusting dirtbag. And reading the reported manifesto, there's just 20 plus pages of it, 2 separate ones. I mean, it just sounds like another one of these celebrity heads, totally programmed, wannabe, fake tough guy people that is just infesting everything, and how much he loves Biden and Obama, and how much he loves Piers Morgan, and how we must take the citizens' guns. And I see the way CNN isn't even mentioning in all their reports that he was a big fan of what they're doing. See, that's the problem. You can't take the general public's guns and then not have the select crazies, whether they be police or private citizens that get guns, go after people. It's just a fact.
So far from worshipping him as a hero, as Kelly Goff claims, in the very days after the news of the manhunt for Christopher Dorner broke, Alex Jones was describing him as, quote, a disgusting dirtbag, and taking CNN to task for refusing to report on his manifesto, which outlined Dorner's love for all things Obama, Biden, gun control, and Piers Morgan. And on February 8th, Infowars.com published an article entitled, Imagine if Christopher Dorner was a Tea Party member. And in this article we put, Dorner is an Obama-supporting, gun control advocating, NRA hating, Piers Morgan loving, big government liberal, because that's what was in his manifesto published online. And that's why you aren't hearing about his political bent from any of the network news outlets. So, Infowars.com and Alex Jones, while networks like CNN were completely ignoring the fact that Dorner's manifesto expressed his support for Obama, gun control, Piers Morgan, etc., we were the ones pointing that out and criticising the fact that Dorner, amongst many in the left wing, was becoming a hero. Which is why we asked, imagine if Christopher Dorner was a Tea Party member. So we were the very ones in the hours after this meme started to emerge as Christopher Dorner as this anti-hero cult-like figure. We were the ones decrying that. Yet now CNN blames Alex Jones for turning Dorner into a hero when he called him a disgusting dirtbag in the very few days after the manhunt started. And then, ludicrously, Kelly Goff goes on to blame Alex Jones simply for reporting the fact that the police officers involved in the raid on Dorner's cabin there in the final hours of the siege were openly discussing plans, and in fact went ahead with a plan to deliberately burn down the cabin, and this was all caught on police scanner audio. But because we merely reported the fact, and CNN and all the other networks subsequently failed to investigate that, as the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department denied that there was a deliberate plan to burn down the cabin, even though they admitted it on police audio scanners, they refused to investigate it. We reported on it, but somehow that makes us bad, and that makes us portraying Christopher Dorner as a hero.
Is that these types of stories really feed into the sort of paranoia of the fringe right, of the people of the Alex Jones of the world. When you have this whole debate about the audio that I know that has been covered about whether or not the LAPD had planned to burn this man out. And unfortunately, that's what sort of gives credence to people to say, aha, see, I told you so. The mainstream media and the LAPD, they're not giving us the full information. That's what gives credence and credibility and makes heroes out of people like Chris Dorner. That's the tragedy of this.
So because Alex Jones at Infowars.com asked The hard questions about why the police on tape, on police scanner audio, planned to deliberately burn down the cabin, a story which CNN and all the other networks either completely ignored or completely downplayed, then that somehow makes us trying to portray Christopher Dorner as a hero. Tell me how that works.
Burners deployed and we have a fire.
So after we'd already attacked Dorner as being a disgusting dirtbag for murdering these family members of the police, simply for reporting on the plan which was captured on the police scanner audio to deliberately set fire to the cabin and basically burn Christopher Dorner to death. Looks like he took his own life with a shotgun to the mouth before that happened. A story which networks like CNN completely failed to adequately cover and failed to ask hard questions of the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department. That somehow means we're turning Christopher Dorner into a hero, when it was the likes of CNN itself which failed to report the fact that Dorner's manifesto was full of all this Obama-loving, gun control-supporting political rhetoric, thereby covering up his political affiliation. And just imagine the freak out if he'd have been a right-wing extremist Tea Party member. That's the real story, and the deliberate plan to burn down the cabin, which was caught on tape, yet was later denied ludicrously, and CNN failed to ask any questions about it. Those are the real stories. So the fact that CNN pundit Kelly Goff blames Alex Jones for this supposed hero worship of Christopher Dorner, when in the very days after the damn news story came out, Jones called him a, quote, disgusting dirtbag, is a complete fabrication, a complete smear job, and completely typical of the way CNN and its pundits routinely operate. It's Paul Joseph Watson with Infowars.com.